Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 2nd, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see the storm system that moved through southeast Alaska and western British Columbia there yesterday. Brought some interesting clouds to the region, a little bit of precipitation with it. A particular cloud off the Mount Rainier. But if we look back across southwest Alaska, this is the next storm system, our next frontal system. A little bit of a taste of fall here coming as we go on into the day Friday. We're going to check out those details as we go through the video this morning. So let's go ahead and take a look at SeaTac yesterday. 68 degrees, 66 is the normal high, nowhere near that record high back in 1987 of 89 degrees on October 1st. But also look back towards October 16th of 2022. That is the last 80-degree day recorded in SeaTac history, and that was a whopper there, 88 degrees in mid-October. Pretty impressive back-to-back record high days. A couple of years ago there, as you can see, a little bit of precipitation, trace just wetted the ground there, and we averaged almost 4 inches of rain during the month of October. So this is when things start to pick up, and some of these mid-latitude cyclones start to come into the Pacific Northwest, and it looks like it's not going to be an exception, at least for the beginning portions of the month, as we have a frontal system on its way. And I'm going to show you that here right now. As you see this 987 millibar low, fairly strong low pressure here just south of Haida Gwaii, moving in just north of Vancouver Island as it starts to fill and cast this frontal system across southwest BC and western Washington, eventually western Oregon as we go on in through the day Friday, down to the Willamette Valley. Some measurable precipitation there. We'll look at some of those amounts here in a moment. And then as we scroll through the weekend, we get a little bit of a break from the precipitation, but then we bring this next system rolling in here as we go through the day Monday, and we'll watch that one here over the next couple of days. So yeah, a little bit of a taste of fall coming up. You're going to feel the blustery conditions across some of the area here and the precipitation, of course. Now, looking at the European ensemble mean, I've scrolled this out towards about Saturday morning. You can see about 1/3 of an inch, maybe 4/10 of an inch for Seattle. Better for the Olympic Mountains, Cascades, and of course the lion's share going to portions of western British Columbia, some of Vancouver Island. But you see some of that precipitation is getting down to the Willamette Valley and the Oregon coast. And then we scroll a little bit further out, and right at the end of the run, you can kind of see the precip amount start to bump up again with that next system potentially coming in as we go through the early portion of next week. So what is going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere? Well, right now I've got 700 millibars, which is about 10,000 feet up. And this is the storm system that moved through yesterday here. And then you can see our next storm gearing up out across the Gulf of Alaska there. And you can see this, the low pressure center is right there. And you can see that frontal system with the colder air aloft moving through the area, driving that frontal system. So that's at 10,000 feet. And if we look at 18,000 feet or 500 millibars, you'll see something similar here. And again, there is our energy out there driving this fall-like frontal system as we go on into the day Friday. A little bit of a ridge build here, and then maybe another system starting to develop across the Gulf of Alaska to be visiting us next week. Now, if we look at 30,000 feet or 300 millibars, you'll actually also see kind of something similar there as well. That's what's going to be driving that frontal system as we go through the day Friday. So I always like to show the upper levels of the atmosphere, and you kind of get a picture of that colder air aloft driving these systems. Now, you can see how this also correlates with 500 millibar heights here. So when I talk about heights, is basically you're talking about temperature aloft, and you can see the ridging here in the meantime, a little bit of a break from precipitation until we go in towards Friday, and there is our Friday frontal system there. And again, if we scroll off in towards the early portion of next week, you can see the next system potentially coming. Now, looking at about 2,500 feet off the surface here, I want to show you what's coming. So if we scroll on in towards Thursday, you see our system winding up off the coastline here and pushing that frontal system in here. It's not going to get crazy windy, but some areas could be gusting 30, 40 miles per hour, including up towards Bellingham. In Seattle, I think was maybe somewhere in the mid-30s at the high point, and a little bit of blustery conditions along the coastline there. But again, just a little bit of a taste here of a fall frontal system. It'll be nice for all the mossbacks. And if we take a look at accumulated max 10-meter wind gust on the North American model, 3-kilometer resolution, as I scroll on in through Friday morning, you'll see the wind start to come towards the coastal regions. Look at that, Seattle, 33 right there. So you notice those blustery conditions, and you see the winds pick up east slopes of the Cascades as we go through the day Friday. Look at that, 38, maybe towards 40 for Bellingham, a little bit gusty conditions across maybe Long Beach and some of southwest Washington also. But, nothing to write home about as far as much of the Washington coast is concerned. I mean, look at Quileute only topping out at 28 miles per hour. That is absolutely barely even noticeable for the Washington coast. But you can see with the onshore flow going on here, we're going to have some gusty winds, perhaps up towards 50 miles per hour for some of the east slopes of the Cascades as well as we go on in through Friday afternoon. Now, looking at the GFS, over the last couple of days, the GFS has been a little bit squirrely about this frontal system, but yesterday it latched on pretty well. Look at the control run right around 1/2 an inch for SeaTac, not a bad precipitation maker, and the mean is right around 4/10 of an inch, as you can see there as well. Now, this is the European. This is looking at total precipitation. The green line is the mean. All all the average of all the 50 ensemble members, and those individual members are these little gray lines. And the control run here, the conditions best we understand them, are in the blue right there. And you can see just over a half an inch expected on the European as well. So nice little precipitation maker coming in Friday. And again, you can see the individual members on this for the European ensembles, 50 of them, and the control run is at the bottom there. So yep, nice little frontal system rolling in. If we look towards Portland, you can see it's calling for right around a third of an inch. Pretty good agreement between the control and the ensemble mean there as well. Looks like all the ensemble members do have some precipitation for Portland International Airport. And this is something interesting looking well off into the extended forecast. This is 15-day precipitation anomaly here on last night's European artificial intelligence. You can kind of see the sharp cutoff there with much more rain across western portions of BC, northern Vancouver Island, versus Washington and Oregon, where we're running a deficit there. This can change quite rapidly there, especially with, some atmospheric rivers or some frontal systems moving in here. This could easily change over the next few days. If you see some of these model runs out there, don't get too concerned just yet. But when we look at the GFS and the 06Z, it kind of shows something similar there as well. So that's something we will be watching as we go on in through the next few days. Now, this is Comet C2023A3. This has been visible in the morning hours. If you get up early enough there and try to catch it right before sunrise, people have been reporting images of this comet. It is getting brighter. You can see the magnitude starting to decrease here. We call it decreasing because these are negative numbers here, but this is the higher this number, or the higher this graph goes here, the brighter the comet is. And you can see this really peaking around the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So we're going to be watching for clouds and systems coming towards the Pacific Northwest during that time frame, because this could be quite a visible comet, even brighter than Neowise was just a few years ago. So what we'll be doing is kind of watching this total cloud cover. We can go all the way out towards, October 12th there, or the 13th right there. It would be quite nice viewing there for the comet. And comets are kind of fickle though as well. The prediction is this will be a visible comet, but of course things can change and they can flare out quite a bit as well. It is just a dusty snowball revolving around the sun, and nobody knows exactly how they're going to act. But yeah, that would be some nice viewing there. We'll be watching that as we get closer. Here's the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. A little above average here. Take that with a grain of salt. You can see a lot of the country below average signal there as we go through October 11th. Look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, above average for much of the west as well. And this is the monthly temperature outlook issued a couple days ago on September 30th. You can see the Pacific Northwest is included in that for October 2024. Precipitation, equal chances. Eastern Oregon, Idaho are below normal there, scheduled for October 2024. This is the drought monitor. This was released also September 30th. Drought persisting here across Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. But this is kind of refreshing to see this. You can see drought removal as likely, and drought remains but improves across some portions of eastern Washington, I should say. In Montana, Idaho, where some drought-stricken regions are as well. So that's a little bit nice to see. Anyway, what else? Frontal System Friday. I'm looking forward to that one there. We were looking forward to some comet viewing. I may actually try to go tomorrow morning if things look like they may be clear. I may try to go get an eastern view of the sky and see if I can catch that coming up. But anyway, hope you guys are liking the videos. Click like and subscribe. Leave some comments below, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.